Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Sometimes I'm asked some questions in this class. I try to answer to the best of my knowledge, but I always, if I have doubt, I go back. Alhamdulillah, I have some contacts with scholars in fiqh who have like PhD degrees and they're professors in the subject of fiqh, so I go back and ask them. So just a couple of questions I was asked about before. One of them was if somebody praying behind the imam and he missed something in the salah that would require sujood al-sahw, should he do sujood al-sahw or not? I asked actually two scholars. They said no, he does not do sujood al-sahw, just like we answered. But if he had missed part of the salah and then he is making up for it and he made a mistake there, does he do sujood al-sahw or not? My answer was yes, he should. So I asked two scholars and actually I got two answers. One of them is yes, he should. One said he shouldn't. The imam is enough for him. But I'm more inclined to think that the imam is enough for him for what he attended with the imam. Since we don't have any specific texts, some questions you just don't have a specific text and you're just going to have you use your judgment based on the general understanding of the various texts and how things operate. So we're still on the same answer. But another question I was asked was the Nigerian imam, the guy who prayed Zuhur and he thought he was praying Asr. So he went back and told the people, my intention was for Asr while this was Dhuhr prayer. So I'm going to repeat the prayer and you repeat with me.
We finished the 4 rakas.
Yes.
And they wanted to repeat.
Okay, good. Exactly.
And some of us objected.
So, but you guys still followed him, right?
Eventually we followed him.
Absolutely. No. Exactly. So I asked about this one. Number one, if somebody has doubt about his intention, what the intention was, and that doubt came to him after the salah, doubt, he should ignore it and not repeat. If he should ignore it and not repeat. If he is 100% sure that he had a different intention, and it's not just a doubt, then he should repeat. But my answer was, he didn't have to repeat. He should repeat if he's 100% sure. But if he's doubting, he doesn't have to repeat. What about the people behind him?
That is, we have no doubt.
Exactly. The people behind, exactly. The people behind him did not have to repeat. People behind him did not have to repeat because you can have different intentions between the imam and ma'moom, and that's perfectly okay. You could be praying 2 rak'at sunnah and somebody comes and prays fard behind you. It's perfectly okay. So here, what happened here, if he was sure that his intention was wrong, yes, he has to repeat, but the people behind him did not. If he doubted, neither he or the people behind him have to repeat. If somebody doubted during the salah, what was my intention? If he's the kind of obsessive person, he should ignore it. But if his doubt is very strong, then he would have to come out from the salah and repeat it. You follow? If the doubt, see, there's a difference there's a difference when you doubt in the salah or after the salah. We talked about this before. If the doubt comes after the salah, it has lesser weight than if it happens during the salah. Okay? One more thing. We talked about the position, and that's important to repeat as well. The position of the hands. Yes, this is the position. Right on left, on the chest or below the chest, should not go below the umbilicus. Now, where do you put your hands when you come up from ruku'? Where do you put your hands? Some people say by the side because the hadith says, حَتَّى يَرْجِعَ كُلُّ عَظْمٍ أَوْ فَقَرٍ إِلَى مَكَانِ, until every bone goes back to its position. Now, this is how some people said, okay, this is the normal position by the side. And some people said, no. The normal position in salah is this. Okay? And that is the stronger opinion. Because this is the normal position in the salah. The normal position in the salah is not like this, not by the side.
So if from sujood we're going up.
No,
okay.
after Sami Allah.
Sami Allah.
After Sami Allah liman hamida.
After Sami Allah al-Mahmud.
Sami Hamida. Rabbana wa lakal hamd.
To do this.
Yes.
Some people used to do this.
Exactly, that's what I'm talking about.
So
Both are
this
okay.
should be this.
Preferably this. Preferably this. Because this is the natural position in the salah. Because this, we said, this is the position of somebody who is humble and guilty and surrendering, okay? This is actually the position a person who used to come forward for execution used to put their hand like this. So this is a very humble position. It has a strong reminder for the person standing in front of Allah that I am a sinner, I am guilty, I deserve punishment, and I beg your forgiveness. And he's standing like this. And his eyes are looking to the place of sujood because somebody is guilty. He has no courage to lift his eyes, and face forward. He has to be looking like this. So that's important. And also, the hands are less fidgety if you're holding them like this. It is because if they're by your side, your fingers might be playing unintentionally, right? But this will guarantee that there's no movement, there's no unnecessary movement. Okay, we'll take this class mostly as a revision before we go ahead. And I wanted to review again the subject of recitation of the Fatiha, which we discussed yesterday in more detail. I will summarize it. Recitation the Fatiha, we said if somebody is praying alone or praying as Imam, they have to, definitely. If he doesn't recite the Fatiha in every single rak'ah, then the salah is invalid. Many hadith indicate that. If he is behind the Imam, that's a controversy comes here. We mentioned that there were three different opinions, one on each extreme. I'm not saying extreme that it is wrong. I'm just saying that on each side there's an opinion and in the middle there's another opinion. The opinion of having to recite it behind the Imam, whether he is reciting loudly or secretly, whether it is Zuhr Salah or Maghrib or Isha or Fajr, still you have to recite. That's one opinion. That is the opinion mostly of the Hanbali Mazhab. And while on the other side, the people who say you don't recite behind the Imam at all, whether he's reciting loudly or secretly, that is really a weak opinion because the Salah is meant for dhikr. Imagine you're standing behind the Imam in a secret Salah and you're just standing like this. Your mind will start wandering everywhere. So which is more appropriate and more proper? Not only that, the hadith says clearly that the salah is invalid if you don't recite the Fatiha. So how can you come out from this salah and feel that you've done what you're supposed to be doing? Aren't you worried that this salah is not accepted? So that's really, we have to stress on this point. In the secret salah, there should be no controversy. This is a secret salah and you're supposed to do dhikr. وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ لِذِكْرِ. There's no place in the salah for being totally silent. Really, there isn't. Even when the Prophet ﷺ used to start the salah and he was silent initially, the Sahaba asked him, so you were silent, what were you saying? Which tells you that they understood that the salah is complete, continuous dhikr from beginning to end. Even during motion there is dhikr. Imagine that, Allahu Akbar. The Allahu Akbar is not a dhikr for qiyam, it is not a dhikr for ruku', it is not a dhikr for sujood. It is a dhikr of transition. And that's why Allahu Akbar should coincide with your transition. You should not, some people delay Allahu Akbar until they're down on the ground. This is not how it should be. Or they delay Allahu Akbar until they have made the full ruku'. This way they have added a dhikr in ruku' that is not legislated. Or they say Allahu Akbar before they start making ruku'. That's also wrong. You have added a dhikr in the salah in a position where it is not prescribed. It is a dhikr of transition. You follow? So if Allah has prescribed for us dhikr even in transition, do you think there's a place where we could be just standing like this silent doing nothing? No, there isn't. Okay? Even if the Imam is taking a long time, then read surah after surah. You can read multiple surahs after the Fatiha. Okay? If you're taking too long in ruku' and sujood, you don't stay silent. You keep on making dhikr. In between the sajda, you can repeat Allahumma maghfiri, Allahumma maghfiri, Allah, li Rabbi alhamd. Even when standing, li Rabbi alhamd, li Rabbi alhamd, you can repeat it. Okay? So that's important to know. The middle opinion is to recite behind the Imam in a secret salah and to be silent in the loudly, publicly recited salah by the Imam. And that has some strength, it has strength to it because وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنُ فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَنصِتُوا. You are supposed to listen to the Quran. But It is really superseded, because you asked this question yesterday. It is superseded by the clear ahadith that indicate فَلَا تَفْعَلُوا إِلَّا بِفَاتِحَةِ الْكِتَابِ. When people were reciting behind the Prophet ﷺ, and he felt that they were mixing his recitation, he says, are you reciting behind me? While he's reciting loudly. They said, yes. He said, فَلَا تَفْعَلُوا, do not do so, إِلَّا بِفَاتِحَةِ. And he gave the exception. So this is what we call a nas. It is a clear, explicit text in this point of contention. That gives us the answer. The people who said that you can be silent, some of them said that this hadith was abrogated by the other hadith where he said do not recite. But you really cannot say that, because to know if something is abrogated, you have to know the timing, that this preceded this in time. You follow? One of the preconditions for claiming abrogation is for you to know when this hadith was said and when the other one was said. Okay? So it's difficult to actually claim that. So again, the more we read about this subject, I find that reciting the Fatiha in every rak'ah behind the Imam is still stronger. And you think about it so much, but still the middle opinion is still a very strong and valid opinion, and adopted by major scholars like Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, for instance. Okay, now we come to ta'meen, to say Ameen. When it comes to Ameen, you say Ameen. How many minutes? I'm going to check here. Somebody check. Oh, right there. 11 minutes. We'll go to 15 and we'll stop, inshallah. You say Ameen. He says, غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. You say Ameen. The hadith says, وإذا أمن فأمنوا. When he says Ameen, you say Ameen. In some hadith, وإذا قال ولا الضالين فقولوا آمين. So here, because you might understand, فإذا أمن فأمنوا. When he says Ameen, then you say Ameen. No. You have to say it with the Imam. This is explained by the other hadith that says, وإذا قال ولا الضالين قولوا آمين. You follow? So you say Ameen with the Imam. And yes, the hadith that Abdul Nasir mentioned yesterday, إذا قال الإمام غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين فقولوا آمين فإن الملائكة تقول آمين وإن الإمام يقول آمين. So this shows that when the Fatiha is completed by this last verse, ولا الضالين, you should say Ameen, because the angels also say Ameen at the same time, and the Imam says Ameen at the same time. That's clear text. Okay. وفي لفظ إذا أمن الإمام فأمنوا فمن وافق تأمينه تأمين الملائكة. وفي لفظ آخر فإذا قال أحدكم في صلاته آمين والملائكة في السماء آمين فوافق أحدهما الآخر غفر له ما تقدم من ذنبه. If your Ameen coincides with the Ameen of the angels and the Ameen of the Imam, of course, because everybody should say Ameen together, but here it says coincides with the Ameen of the angels, Ahl al-Sama, in some narrations, Allah will forgive your past sins. Now, doesn't mean to coincide with the angels only in verb or in the sound, because this religion is not based on outward picture in anything. Wafaqa here would indicate two things: to say it properly, Ameen, and say it loudly, and also to mean what you're saying. Okay, because what do you expect the angels when they say Ameen? Are they saying it absent-minded, or they are saying it with full conviction and full iman? Full conviction, full iman, right? So basically, Ameen means Allahumma stajib. Oh Allah, accept this dua. Because the Fatiha from beginning to end is a supplication, it's an invocation. It is the most important question, it's the most important request any of us asks Allah during his life, which is guidance. So that is why it's an obligatory request, that it's obligatory on us to ask Allah this matter in every single rak'ah, 17 times at least prescribed to us. And you say it loudly, because the hadith indicate that when the Sahaba said Ameen, the masjid would almost shake with the ta'meen. So because some people say it secretly, there's no evidence to that. وَإِنَّ لِلْمَسْجِدِ لَلُجَّةً or لَلَجَّةً, which means that a very loud sound comes out from the masjid during Ameen. And the hadith, Prophet ﷺ used to, he says, رَفَعَ بِهَا صَوْتَهُ مَدَّ بِهَا صَوْتَهُ. It says two things here, that he used to say it loudly and he used to elongate it. Ameen. Because some people also say Ameen. No, you want to do it like the Sunnah, you elongate it a little bit. Ameen. Okay, Mad. Ameen. At least 2 harakat, could be 4 harakat, could be 6 harakat, like in Tajweed. All three may apply. Okay.
India and I don't know about Pakistan, but in India it's always silent.
I know, it's always silent. That's why we have to mention this. There's no evidence for it to being silent.
No loud?
Okay.
If somebody says loudly, then
What if somebody says it loudly? What would happen to him?
Nigerian Imam.
Yes. Yeah, he's creating trouble, this Nigerian Imam.
We are very loud. So if you don't say it, that will be in trouble. Where did you get your money?
He is Maliki because I had a scholar say if Niyyah between Imam and Ma'mum is different, they are not allowed to pray like that.
Exactly. There is an opinion like this. I don't know who it's attributed to, but it's wrong. Because we have multiple evidences from the Sunnah where the Imam's niyyah was different. And the famous example is hadith of Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He used to go and pray the Isha with the Prophet ﷺ, and then he would go pray Sunnah 4 rak'at for his tribe, and he would be the Imam for his tribe. That is when he sometimes recited long, and people sometimes could not stand behind him, and a man left the Salah. He said to him, "Afattanun anta ya Mu'adh? Are you diverting people away from the religion of Allah by making it too difficult for them?" So
The fact is, it's a matter of knowledge. Even I myself, I was telling that Imam that look, if someone is doing Nawafil, you are doing Farad Salah, you can join in, and both of you have different niyat.
True.
Yeah, and it is valid.
It is valid.
So it's just that sometimes in that type of the world, you have some masajid that even the person that is doing the Imam has very little knowledge.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Once what happened was we were offering Salah in Saudi Arabia. There's one verse in Surah Baqarah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلُ لَمِنَ الضَّالِّينَ.
Yes.
So there were two people who entered, like the Imam
Late.
was reciting.
They said Ameen.
And they loudly said Ameen.
Yeah, it's actually, I witnessed an incident like this as well. Yeah.
It not took long time.
No,
No, that's how they
no. They were not paying attention probably. Yeah.
Maybe took one Safaha page, 2, 3 page 2.
Yeah.
Maybe after that they forget. Fatiha, then repeat. Maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Stop, inshallah.